What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the second episode of Sippin' with the Simpkins.
Episode 2.
The past. Growing up together, literally. I'm your girl, Michael, and this is my husband, Ray, and we're just talking about our journey. We've been together for 23 years this year.
So let's talk about it. What you sipping on?
Sparkling water, San Pellegrino, splash of cranberry, and lime. What about you?
I tried something new today. This is a honeybee sour drink with pulp.
How are you feeling about that?
Tastes all right. It's pretty
I feel
good.
like it was a little sweet.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's.
You like
it's
sweet drinks. I'm not into sweet. I like sweet foods, and you like sweet drinks.
Yeah, natural sweets. Soursop is good for you.
I think we could probably get it in a little bit more clean and organic form, but
Right.
the principle, the basis of the matter is soursop is good for you.
Shout out to Honeybee.
Yes.
Soursop drink
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how you feeling?
I'm good. We're cheersing episode 2. On our way.
Episode 2.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Listen, I didn't read the questions. They just gonna come off how they come off.
So today is episode 2, as we've said, the Newlywed Survival Guide
Oh, survival guide.
that we didn't have, right? We touched on it a little bit last time when we were talking about examples of strong relationships or marriages, people who may have given some advice.
You're right. And there wasn't a lot of people. I know my grandparents were married a little bit, but I'm not sure how many years they were married before my grandfather passed away. But naturally, I didn't see people that were married 30, 40 years growing up
Yeah.
or longer.
Yeah.
I believe on my stepfather's side, his mom and dad was married a long time. But aside from that, I don't remember.
But even in that example, like, wasn't his father deceased? Did you know him?
No, I knew him. Passed away. I was in college.
In
But
their
that was the only one.
relationship. Yeah. I have one aunt and uncle that when people talk about relationships and all around healthy people in terms of giving good advice and integrity and ethics and morals and any of that, he is phenomenal. And he and my aunt have been married for, I don't know, 40 some years. And they're probably the best example that I have. But in terms of when we got married, having or giving advice, nobody really tell you, be prepared for this, or you might think it's this and it's really that. So thinking back, can you think of or remember, and this is kind of funny because we had so many fights, but can you remember a fight, one of the dumbest fights that we had?
One of the dumbest fights. Golly.
I feel like
there was so many dumb fights.
Yes,
when
like
you were younger,
everything was dumb. When you think about it now, especially, everything was dumb. It had no substance to it at all. It was just so meaningless. I mean, it was meaningful at the time, obviously. Can you think of anything?
You mentioned something to me about some cookies that I was mad at you about for, I don't even know if they were burnt cookies or not my favorite cookies or something.
Yeah.
And I must have been mad about it, but those are the silly type of arguments. And was it really about cookies, or was I just being
it definitely wasn't about the cookies.
You know,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, because I feel like, and I've said this to you very early on, I think that looking back on it, but yes, I must have burnt the cookies if I recall correctly, overcooked them, and you were irritated by that. But I feel like you were irritated by so much with me, especially early on, and any little thing would have just taken you over the edge. And I said this to you before, I don't know that you really liked me all that much early on. And it probably was a combination of things, right? You were 23, 24 years old, married. You were trying to figure out your career path, and you knew and was very intentional about, I am in this situation, I'm gonna make sure that my son is taken care of, and then your wife. So you had to make money, but then you were also kind of balancing that, I wanna be out here with my friends, living the 20-year-old life,
man.
And
let me explain it.
All kind of stuff.
There was a lot going on in the 20s. You just named about half of what was racing through my head. So it wasn't that I didn't like you. It was more or less I'm super stressed out trying to figure all of this out.
Sure.
Right? If there was a difference of opinion on something, I didn't really consider what your opinion was. I felt I had the right answer. There was that much pressure on me to try to figure it out. Not to say that you wasn't working and you wasn't trying to do your thing too, but I know as a man, as a husband, as a father, there were certain things you couldn't help me figure out. I had to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it didn't come across the best attitude-wise because you're stressed out. I mean, we got through it and I figured it out, but it wasn't easy.
I think we need to cheers to that. That's the cheers in and of itself,
easy,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
growth.
We're talking about growth, maturity,
maturity, accountability, right? And some self-reflection, saying, looking at yourself. I appreciate that because I often feel that's just who I am as a person, is that I just want to be a better person, and I'm always trying to just do better, be better, learn more about myself, and I dig deep in that way. And I'm open to, when I don't have something right, tell me. I want you to say, that's effed up, you did this, or that's not cool, or whatever it is. I feel like I'm much more open to that and receptive of that. And you haven't always been that way. I feel you feel it's dumping on you in some way. So I appreciate that we can have this conversation and this dialogue, and you're, you know what? There was some times that I really wasn't trying to hear you.
Right, but at the same time, nobody likes when somebody's pointing out their flaws, whether they're true or not.
I don't mind it.
Well, you say that, but
I really don't.
At 20 years old, I don't think you liked it. So nobody likes that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go back and forth and debate the time frame.
As you grow older,
as a person,
as you grow older,
I've always been that way.
And as people start to help you mature in growth and see different things, and it could come by way of family, friends, whoever.
Yeah.
Then you're more open to.
Yeah.
I may have been wrong. Maybe there is another way to think about things, and you become open to that stuff. So.
Yeah.
But that's growth.
So it's safe to say then, for the record, that I burnt the cookies, and your response to it, who was really wrong? Because I'm sure it escalated from there.
Probably.
It sounds like you're wrong. You were the wrong one in that. It was just burnt cookies.
Yeah, I mean,
we could have made more.
Right.
I didn't do it intentionally. Okay, so yeah, you guys heard it first, right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
He was wrong in that fight.
Yeah, however many years ago that
However
was.
many, and what really was it about?
You're
Yes. So yeah, and so fast forward and thinking about, and again, not even realizing or remembering exactly what that argument stemmed from, because it may have really just been the cookies, but it may have been just the pressures of everything else and just the dynamics of our relationship at that time that just made you respond that way. But just considering, if I burnt cookies today, how would you handle that? What would be different from then to now?
I'm definitely gonna crack a joke about it, but I ain't gonna be mad about it for sure.
Yeah.
And I might even try one or two.
What's one lesson that we wish we learned sooner?
Not to be selfish. Simple. To me, the sooner you listen, and this is any relationship, not just a marriage. The moment you decide that I'm not going to be selfish and I'm going to take into account somebody else's ideas, their thoughts, their feelings, then your relationship will be better. That could have helped us out much sooner.
Yeah.
I think when you're young, you're stubborn, you're stuck in your ways, so to speak. You grow up a certain way. People are blended backgrounds where they grew up differently.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What I value, you may not value. How I was raised and taught about stuff, you may not be raised and taught about stuff. You know, so.
But it's also not just about like being how you were raised is a part of it, but it's also like your experiences, like
sure.
with other people. And it could be like school, it could be work, it could be, family. Like it's just how the environment that you lived and grew up in, like all of those things play a role in that, not just like solely how you were raised, and just so how you just see things and respond to things. Yeah. I think one of the lessons that I wish that I had learned sooner is that I said this before, I'm pretty rigid, and I tend to take things way too literal and serious. And it's just like, pipe down, Michael, like chill out. Everything is not that serious. Let people be who they are.
Let them live.
Let them live. That's your thing. Yes.
Let them live.
Yes.
Man.
If I could just remind myself in every situation instead of being responsive and thinking that, like you just said, thinking that people think the way that I think and are therefore going to respond in the same way that I think they should respond or that I would respond. Because of course, I'm logical, I'm practical, I'm reasonable. And so anything outside of that is illogical to me and it's upsetting. And so I respond to that. And I feel like I have to course correct people. Some might say it's controlling. I've been told that a time or two. So I just wish that I would have realized that sooner about myself and just like be chill, like just let you do your thing. And I say that, I say that loosely because I also think about, there was many times, I think we've had some tumultuous times in our relationship, especially in the very early years.
First of all, the first 5 years are not easy. You go through a honeymoon phase, you get married, you're happy and things like that. But then shit hit the fan and then you gotta figure it out and then you gotta get used to living with somebody that you're not used to living with, right? You think you know people until you realize you don't know them like you thought you did.
Yeah.
Up and down, like for random stuff, like you're just trying to figure it out.
But if we're being honest, we didn't have even a honeymoon phase. If we're being honest,
right.
Our first 5 years.
I mean, we had a baby at some young age, so a lot of that.
Our first 5 years, I think we were in the true fight or flight stage. I think we both, which we hit on a little bit last episode, so if you didn't check it out, check it out. But we hit on it a little bit last time when we were saying like, we both knew that we didn't want to bring a young black man into this world without at minimum attempting to have a 2-parent household.
Right,
we were
right.
going to give it everything we got. And I think we both were committed to that based off of our parents and our relationships. And so then when we catapulted into pregnant, let's get married, graduating college, finding a job, getting a career.
Right.
We had this idea that you duped me. I always tell him he dupes me. We had this idea I was gonna be home with our son for the first 5 years, but shit was tough. Like it was just impossible. Sure. But at the same time, the first 2 years we did agree because it was just so expensive in terms of childcare. And we didn't want him to go before he could talk. So we did agree and get to 2 years. So that was cool.
The thing we want people to realize is there's no blueprint to marriage and there's no perfect marriage.
Yeah.
Like what you see from people who have been married for a long time are the people that went through the battles and the wars, you know what I mean? They done been through the ups and downs, trials and tribulations and learn to overcome it. Learn to forgive people, learn to have grace, learn to check yourself, learn not to respond at times, doing more listening than you do talking. Like these are all things that when you're young and you popping off, like you just say what's on your mind and it is what it is. Like I said what I said, right? And you can't be like that all the time, right? So I think the lesson here at the end of the day is everybody, you're gonna go through something. You're not gonna get married and everything's gonna be peaches and cream and that's just how it's gonna go the rest of your life. You're gonna go through some things.
Yeah.
And you have to have the big picture in mind at the whole time and learn not to hold grudges and forgive people because nobody's perfect. So just like I'm gonna forgive you, I want you to forgive me when I mess up because I'm gonna mess up. And that's the accountability piece when it comes to a partnership. You gotta learn how to have a partnership.
And I think that's something else that I probably have learned is that there were some times, especially in the first 5 to 10 years, where you kind of consider like, are we forcing something that just didn't happen organically because of our commitment to, we want to be in this 2-parent household and we're going to, sort through this. But you just said something that is really important that I think that, like I would say to younger couples today, is that there's no perfect person. And like I had this idea of this organic relationship, this organic match. Was it forced? Like when we were kind of butting heads, are we forcing this? Because we talked a little bit about this on the last episode about, you were much more optimistic about the longevity of this, whereas me, I'm like, there's a lot of shit happening within this marriage that I don't know if I can rock this out. Like, I wasn't sure how much I could thug it. we thugged it for sure, but it's not been easy. But I think what you said is really, really important, is that there's no perfect person, there's no perfect relationship, and so you're gonna have to accept and adapt something no matter who you're with. So then it becomes this conscious decision that you make, right? So it wasn't just about the commitment of you and I saying we're gonna maintain this or work this out and stick through this for the sake of our family and for our son, but then it was like, all right, what can I accept? What can I deal with? And how do I learn to accept and adapt to some of those things? And I think that while, again, we kind of bumped heads early on, it started to mesh and mold a little bit more, because it wasn't just, there may have been periods where one of us was adapting, adjusting, and accepting, and probably feeling like we're not getting everything that we wanted from that person. We're just kind of settling, is what some people would say.
But you know what that is? It's two people trying to force their way on the other person.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting a person be who they are.
But I also think that we adapted, though.
I mean, we were able to adapt.
We started to learn about each other, and we started to be like, it's not you know what I'm saying? Like, we just kind of, it started to kind of mold into itself. So yes, letting people be who they are, and you might kind of like be resistant to some of that, because it's like, is that really what I want or not? But I think it just started to gel, you know, like, we started to be more accepting, but it wasn't like a settling acceptance, at least for me. Like, at first, there may have been like, you know, you're not very emotional, but then it just started to be like, let me just settle down, and like, you starting to accept a little bit about me, and then I started to accept some things about you, and then things just started to happen. So you would sometimes just put your hand on my hand, like when we're just driving in the car, and like just little things. So what would we tell like a younger couple today?
Listen, here's what I would say. Don't go into a relationship thinking you're going to change somebody. It just doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen, okay? Fellas, don't be going into a relationship thinking I'm going to change her. Ladies, don't be thinking I'm going to change him or I can change him. You'll see signs of stuff and you think you can change a person. It doesn't happen like that. Like, by the time you meet somebody, a person's personality is what it is. So what you have to understand is you have to like people for who they are. You know, you have to gauge a person's personality and really start to get in tune of some of the similarities and things that you have, and some of their long-term goals, have conversations about what you want out of life. You know, just to see if that's a person that you really want to spend the next 10 years with. Don't think you're going to change nobody. Let people be who they are and fall in love with the person that they are and not who you want them to be, or have this idea of your prince knight in shining armor or your princess. It just doesn't work like that. Life is too complicated, and it's not like that. And you told me yourself, you're a Gemini, so Gemini's got different personalities. Different people living in that head of yours.
Which is just what I was going to get to say. Like, I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because I feel like while you can't change people, you can't change the core of who people are. People innately change over time.
Yeah, you can change some of their behaviors. You're
not going to change them, but I'm just saying that. So the point being is that there's going to be things that you go through. There's going to be things that you like. There's going to be things that you don't like. There's going to be things that people do, they don't do. They do today, they don't do tomorrow. They did last year, and they're not going to do it next year. And so those are not things that are, let me get out of Dodge. Like, that's not a reason to escape, because it could all go back again. So to me, it's like ebbs and flows. Like, you just got to be flexible, you got to be adaptable, and you got to agree, like, at the end of the day, you got to agree, like, this is the person that I want to go through these things with.
Right.
Like, that's what it boils down to me, is that I ain't rocking with nobody else. Like, this is the person. Like, we already got this shit established. This is how we roll, and we done been through it. We know where we want to go. Like, your journey, your path, where you want to go, and ultimately, you have to have sort of the same vision. But in terms of what somebody does, doesn't do, mood, personality, even. I did just say to him today, I'm a Gemini, so you know I got multiple personalities, but. So that all changes. So you just can't be responsive to, is this my person? To me, is this my person or not, because all of those things they could change. It's not you changing them, it's just
Well, the other
people
flip side of
change.
that is people change, but if they have some behaviors that you don't like, you can express, like, I don't like it when you do this, or this how this, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. And then
Yeah.
people decide to change on their own and
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, maybe I'm not going to do that.
Sure.
Or maybe I'll try not to do that
Yeah.
as often.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Good
So,
communication.
Yeah, like stuff will naturally
Yeah, I'll try
start
not to
change.
do that anymore. I'll be more mindful of that
Right,
next time.
right. But you gotta
that's
acknowledge
how-
it.
You got to acknowledge it. And you also got to have open communication. But I also think, we had dinner with some friends and your cousin some time ago. And I
Okay,
think
yeah.
she said to us at that time, she said we just weren't friends, and you two seem like you're friends. And we haven't always been friends. And
Right.
we do seem much more friendly now, probably than we ever have. And I would think that's only come, and we'll talk about this later, that's only come probably within the last 2 to 4 years, maybe. We've been working at it.
No, I think
Friends?
no way. Yeah, it was before that.
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. I think friends, no. We'll talk
Well,
about
the thing
that.
is,
We'll get to that in a different episode.
Some people start out as friends and then move into a relationship. Some people start out and they're not friends, and you're in a relationship and you're trying to learn from that person as you go along. So I'm not saying that one way is better than the other, but it does shape the road that you're going to have to walk with each other if you decide to be with each other for a long time. But that could be for a different conversation. But it
That's a
does shape.
different
It shapes.
conversation.
It shapes the dirt path that you're
Yeah.
gonna have to thug it out through.
Yeah.
So I guess y'all figuring this out. Marriage is not easy. Like, living with somebody in marriage and kids, it's not easy. If it was easy, there wouldn't be so many people divorced.
Yeah.
A lot of people get divorced because of some of the stuff that we're talking about that people
Right.
go through all the time.
Right.
It's natural. It's not just us. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Because we're all humans. We're all different. We all think different. We all feel different. And so trying to mesh that and walk together hand in hand could be like this, or it could be like this, rocky for a minute, and then it starts to smooth out. So if you know folks that's put in 40 years, 50 years of marriage, talk to them. Talk to the elders and say, how'd you do it? I'm sure they're not going to go through every single argument they went through, but there's going to be some nuggets in there they could drop.
Yeah.
So that's why we feel like, you know what? A lot of people gave up. We've been married 23 years. There's been some people that got married and got divorced already.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Because they couldn't handle
somebody
it.
who's gotten married and divorced on like their third, fourth marriages. I'm like, wow, okay.
Because they couldn't handle it.
But
You got to be able to handle it.
And we obviously don't know the reason, so I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to say handle it, because I don't know how long and what types of things were
outside of
happening,
somebody
like not
being
in those marriages,
physically and
in those
mentally.
relationships. I think though that some people are like, this isn't working for me. And like, if it doesn't happen easily, and again, organically, then they're like, let's just call this quits and move on to the next
Yeah,
person.
but life isn't like that, though.
I'm not mad at people who decide to do that. Like, if that's how you want to rock, by all means. Like, if you're happy. Again,
Listen,
I think everybody
if
has a
you're happy.
choice. Yes.
If you're happy.
Everybody has a choice. But at the end of the day, I think it boils down to what I said earlier, is that it's going to be something with anybody. It's just, what are you willing to accept and adapt to?
Life isn't easy, right? And anything worth having is worth working for. So, including your relationship, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be peaches and cream every single day. It just doesn't work like that. Life happens, man. And you got to be there for people when life happens, because people might take their attitudes out on you when you're in a relationship.
Why you look at me when I say
I'm just
that?
saying.
Take
You
their
know,
attitudes on
they might take their attitudes and stuff out on you because of what happened at work. It ain't about you. It's about the world. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So you just got to be there. Try not to take it personal. Let them go through their spiel. And sometimes it's the next morning and people wake up and they're like, okay. Sometimes you got to apologize. Like, look, man, I might have came crazy because
He might be talking about something that happened this week.
After work, stuff be happening. You know what I mean? So listen, it's not easy. So if you're on the brink of like, I'm about to walk away or be done with it, man, if you really like that person, don't give up on them. Really. You can't give up on people. Don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on your partner. What else we got?
What's the funniest memory that you can recall from our first year of marriage?
Oh my goodness, the funniest memory. This is probably.
That's a tough one, because I don't know that I can.
I mean, there was some funny memories. After we got married, we rolling around in the limo, the whole wedding party.
The first year of marriage, not the day of the wedding.
Oh, that was
the funniest memory in the first year of marriage.
Technically, that's the first year we got married, like 40 minutes ago. But I don't know. That was a funny moment. But maybe I'll tell that story later. But the first year, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that was just like funny.
Okay.
What do you think?
It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time, and it scared the bejesus out of my cousin. You got so mad about something.
I know what you about to say.
I have a cousin who came to Wright State because, as I told you, he graduated on time, and I had to be delayed like a quarter, which I was very bummed about. Anyway, she came to school that summer with me to help watch Michael so I could go to class, our son. And I don't know, our son was very early, and again, some of those rocky days, it's like I didn't want my baby out of sight. He wanted to take my baby somewhere. He didn't want to hang out at my place, he wouldn't get my baby. Next thing I know, he was so mad. I had this table, this wood table in my little tiny apartment, and he just put his foot down on it and broke this table in two. And my cousin was there. And we were like, what the fuck? Like, he just broke this table. This man is crazy. I think it was about he wanted to take my baby, and I didn't really want him to take my baby to his apartment with his friends I think it was about that. I don't really exactly remember, but the funny part was that he broke this wood table in two, and my cousin just did not like him from that point on, because she thought he was crazy. He thought he was a complete lunatic, which I was kind of side-eyeing, because I'm like, he's not really a violent person that way. Like, this was extreme, and didn't get angry like that. So you was pissed to the maximum about that. Do you remember that at all?
I don't remember her being there, but I vaguely remember the table, breaking the table.
Okay.
I don't remember her being there, though.
You don't.
Nah.
She was definitely there.
Nah.
That's it. He was definitely there. So anyway, that's it for episode 2, the Newlywed Survival Guide that we didn't have. Come back and join us next week with a little career dreams versus married. That'll be episode 3, career dreams versus married dreams.
Okay.
That's going to get interesting, because it's going to talk a little bit about how we landed where we are now, and some conversations that we had prior to this decision. So join us for episode 3.
And listen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the 30 plus people who's already subscribers. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
We'll continue to bring content, and things will start to look better. I got some music on the way coming from Safe.
Tell us what you like, don't like, what you want to talk more about. Tell us how long you've been married or in a relationship, or if you were married, how that went and how you navigated through some of these things. We'd be interested.
And listen, we'll respond back. So let us know what you think. Ask the questions, and let's talk about it in the chat.
Peace.
Peace.